Hi guys, welcome back to the James Bond Show. I'm your host, Krazy Kajeevie, the bad boy of James Bond with no fears, limits or substitutes. Guys, before I just flicked my pen. Wait there. Before we get into this video, guys, I just ask you all to smash the subscribe button and hit the notifications bell. You'll be notified next time I upload a video. I'm not doing any more reminders via Facebook Messenger, guys, or sending out the video anymore to anyone. The show's going to sink or swim on its own now. So, if you want to see the James Bond Show from now on, you need to subscribe. No more reminders are going out. So, I'm putting down the law, people. Okay, so what have I got? I have got my top 5 James Bond film directors. Now, all up, not including, and I want to make a point of this, this is not going to include Cary Fukunaga for No Time to Die because I can't judge him yet. I haven't seen it. What I have seen visually and everything looks great, looks very accomplished, but he is not included. So if we include Fukunaga, I think it's 12 directors or 13 directors with him. So let's say 12 directors. 12. Actually, you know what? Let's make it 13 because we're going to include Irvin Kershner for Never Say Never Again. And no, I'm not directing the directors or director or whatever on 1967's Casino Royale because if you don't know, guys, I've never seen it because I don't regard it as a James Bond film. I don't like Bond being done as a spoof unless I'm watching Austin Powers. So, first of all, let's do basically like a dishonorable mention. Bad job. I'm putting it down as listed here, Terd of a Job. So, which directors have done a turd of a job? Quick mentions. Lee Tamahori, you sir did a turd of a job. Die Another Day, 2002. It was, we can thank him and thank Barbara Broccoli and the coke she was smoking on that one or sniffing because of how bad that was, we did get the fantastic Casino Royale in 2006. But Lee Tamahori, never ever direct a Bond film again. Get out! Okay, second one, Terd of a Job. I'm sorry, man, but when you come on and you want to direct the Bond film and you're talking about the 4 elements, earth, wind, farting and breathing, earth, wind, fire and wind, so farting. If you're talking about earth, wind, fire, water, whatever, get out too. No one wants a James Bond film like that. Mark Forster, I'm sorry. I don't care about writer's strike or whatever. Dude, you had like a $250 million budget and you directed or ended up cutting and handing in the shortest running James Bond film with basically no plot in it. It was terrible. Quantum of Solace sucked 2008. Get out, Mark Forster. Okay, Close But No Cigar. Close But No Cigar. Fantastic director, but just did not make the cut for Krazy Kajeevie's top 5. Goes to, some of you are going to hate me for this, and I actually love this director. He's cool. Guy Hamilton. So Guy Hamilton, I'm sorry, you're not on the list. And yes, he made the quintessential James Bond film, Goldfinger, in 1964. And of course, he went on to direct Diamonds Are Forever, Live and Let Die, and The Man with the Golden Gun. And basically because of how shocking and horrendous Diamonds Are Forever is. If you don't know, it is my least favourite James Bond film. I think it's an abomination. It's kind of right there with Die Another Day. And so because of that, even though I do now, I used to dislike Live and Let Die and The Man with the Golden Gun when I was younger because I was so much into the serious Connery films. And I hated Moonraker as well. I thought they were ridiculous. Now I love Moonraker, even though it's a Lewis Gilbert film, but I love the films that I used to not like. And Live and Let Die and The Man with the Golden Gun are 2 James Bond films I love now. Man with the Golden Gun is so underrated. So, Close But No Cigar, Guy Hamilton. Okay, guys, so we're going to get into the official top 5 list. Number 5. Number 5 goes to Peter Hunt. Now, he directed a beautiful, beautiful masterpiece, and he's in this list. He would have been higher if he ever got to direct The Diamonds Are Forever that he wanted to direct, that he should have got to direct, but George Lazenby, you screwed that up, buddy. And it's so sad that Peter Hunt never came back to do another James Bond film. The way he directed On Her Majesty's and insisted on the script with Richard Maybaum to be so close to the novel, he thought the novel was basically perfect, and he made such a beautiful representation of that novel. He also had to direct George Lazenby, who was a bit of a handful, showing up to set drunk, on drugs, the whole lot, and never acted in his life before, apart from being in a big fry ad and some commercials or some modelling, right? So he wasn't an actor. And what Peter Hunt did with him overall was fantastic. And especially, even if he upset George and he left George alone and everything, he got the performance out of George he needed, especially for the very end scene of On Her Majesty's Secret Service, that tragic scene. In case anyone hasn't seen it, I won't give a spoiler, but you all know what I'm talking about, everyone that has seen it. The shot composition, the storytelling, and I think the pacing and everything that Peter Hunt gave us with On Her Majesty's, beautiful. Peter Hunt, number 5. Number 4. Number 4 is the man that gave us the first James Bond film, Dr. No, in 1962, Terence Young. Of course, he gave us the second James Bond film as well, From Russia with Love, which is, to many, the quintessential masterpiece spy thriller, the real Fleming-type spy thriller James Bond film. Now, he gave us Thunderball, which I'm not a huge fan of, but I have warmed to Thunderball, yes, and Stephen Lessess, one of my regular subscribers, you'll be happy to know, I'm warming to Thunderball more. Terence Young, he did direct 3 rippers, 3 classics, and to do Dr. No and From Russia with Love back to back, incredible effort. He didn't do Goldfinger because he was booked on to do something else, but he took Connery through his paces, really groomed Sean Connery, laid down the foundations, the toughness, the fast, hard editing, obviously through his direction with the then editor, who was Peter Hunt, who went on to direct On Her Majesty's, who I just talked about. So number 5 is Peter Hunt, number 4, Terence Young. Now my number 3 all-time favourite director. We're getting serious, guys. Number 3 is Martin Campbell. Now, a lot of you probably thought I had him, second or top or number 1. Martin Campbell. Incredible job. Bond was off the screen between 1989 and 1995. Came back in 1995, I should say, with Goldeneye, because I saw it 6 times at the cinema, 1 year for every year wait we had, and I was at the Melbourne premiere all in a suit and everything as a 21-year-old, and I waited 6 years for that film, and Martin Campbell did an incredible job with a $56 million budget. He's a maniac, he directs like a maniac, and it's why I kind of take a little percentage off him, because if he had got on well with Daniel Craig, he probably would have ended up directing Quantum of Solace, or at least whatever sequel would have been after Casino Royale. Maybe it wasn't going to be Quantum of Solace. Maybe with Martin Campbell's input it would have been something else or whatever. But he and Daniel Craig did not get on well. Now the reason for that is Pierce Brosnan on Goldeneye could handle Martin Campbell's direction style. But Martin Campbell is old school. And there's a documentary on I believe it's a special edition of Goldeneye, and you see, or it might be even the later ones, and it's a look at Martin Campbell as a director. And he's a lunatic. He yells at the crew, he yells at people, F words, bloody this, why isn't this here, F and this. Put it this way, his style of direction would probably land him in court or get him sued or fired these days, especially if he went and worked for Disney. But the man knows how to direct action. He directs action beautifully. He gets beautiful good performances out of his actors. And his shot composition is great. His pacing is great. The way Phil Mayhew, his director of photography, works with him is beautiful. The colour palettes they come up with, especially for Casino Royale, I thought was so gorgeous. Looked great on film. And he's the reboot king. He rebooted James Bond back in '95 with GoldenEye. And he did it again with another new actor in Daniel Craig in Casino Royale. So he is my number 3. Okay, guys, my number 2 favourite. This may surprise a few people. I love his direction. I don't think anyone handled the big budget so well as this man, Lewis Gilbert. I don't care what anyone says. I love You Only Live Twice. I think You Only Live Twice is one of the best Bond films. Yes, Connery's performance isn't quite there. And Lewis Gilbert was probably intimidated by Sean Connery because, let's face it, Connery was the biggest thing since The Ark back in 1967. He was huge. And Lewis probably didn't want to step on his feet too much and go, hey, look, Sean, come on, mate, your performance here is sucking a bit. But he still gave us great big Bond action. Now, I love his sweeping vistas. He's famous for his aerial photography, and he would have aerial photography supermaster Johnny Jordan help film and stuff. Johnny Jordan also worked on Her Majesty's Secret Service as well. But his aerial photography, shots and his sweeping shots, especially over the Kobe docks in You Only Live Twice, where Bond's running and all that's done in one take, that sort of stuff wasn't seen until Lewis Gilbert came onto the scene. And he gave us in 1977, yes, it was pretty much a reboot of You Only Live Twice, but he gave us The Spy Who Loved Me, which is a quintessential James Bond film, Roger Moore's Goldfinger, if you will, and he gave us the big, crazy Moonraker, which I now love. And as I said earlier, I used to hate Moonraker. Now, Moonraker is one of my favourites, actually in my top 5. I believe it was in the top 5 James Bond film. It's just such a guilty pleasure. So, Lewis Gilbert. And another reason Lewis Gilbert gets in at number 2 is because every interview you see him with, he's just a bloody beautiful man. Just a warm man. He passed away recently, which is so sad. But he lived a great long life. And he just loved the fans. Fans that would write to him, he'd write back to them. He loved giving interviews. He loved talking about James Bond. And he's just a phenomenal filmmaker. He also directed Michael Caine in Alfie many, many years ago. So I just love that guy. Lewis Gilbert, I love listening to interviews with him. So he is at my number 2. Now, the number 1 director of the James Bond franchise, the one, the only, John Glenn. I think John Glenn is the best James Bond film director. Now, does that mean that John Glenn is the best director? I think directors today, and directing's, been in my background, I think directing today is so overrated. And people look at Chris Nolan as this great director. I'm sorry, but some of the directors today, they don't touch John Glenn. If you look at what John Glenn did, not only did he edit, his background was in editing, and he edited on Her Majesty's Secret Service. He shot second unit photography for Spy Who Loved Me and many other James Bond films, including, once again, on Her Majesty's Secret Service. And what he did for his feature James Bond debut with For Your Eyes Only, his feature debut in general, For Your Eyes Only was unfreaking believable. And if any of you don't know, yes, For Your Eyes Only is my all-time favourite James Bond film. And the reason for that is because I look at my favourite Bond film thinking, what film out of all the films would I want to be Bond in? I want to snog Melina. She's hot. I want to be in that car chase with the 2CV. I want to be in Neptune going down under the water and all that. I want to be up on that cliff and falling, and I want to be in all that action. I want to be hanging off the helicopter. And it's just so cool. And plus, I want to have the opportunity with BB, and if I was Bond in For Your Eyes Only, I would have shagged BB. Come on, we all know you would too, guys. So, very naughty. Krazy Kajeevie. So, and then John Glenn gave us, so after For Your Eyes Only, he gave us Octopussy. Now, obviously Roger Moore was aging in both Octopussy and very aged in A View to a Kill. But he got great performances. Out of the 3 Roger Moore films he did, he got great performances. He could do the action, he could do the humour, and I'm going to touch on that in a moment. He could do big set pieces, but he let action flow. He didn't shove close-ups and everything. He didn't overcut. He let you see and enjoy the action. John Glenn's weak point for me, he didn't know when to say no to humour. The Tarzan yell in Octopussy, it should have been cut. The silly tiger coming through the sit should have been cut. I admit that. In For Your Eyes Only, he should have said to Cubby, because it was Cubby that came up with the line of, "Oh, Mr. Bond, I'll buy you a delicatessen in stainless steel." That was Cubby's idea, and John let it happen, because he's a funny guy, he's a pretty relaxed and cool dude. Even when he's directing, he was a cool dude. But John Glenn didn't know when to say no. And another example of when he should have said no was A View to a Kill, and it was his idea for the Beach Boys song of California Girls, even though it was done by another band and it was a cover. That should not have happened. That should have been the James Bond theme, done with maybe an 80s synthesizer beat or whatever. But it should not have been California Girls. And you can write in the comments, guys, say, "Oh, but I like it and it's fun." Yeah, it is fun. And yeah, okay, you get a smile. But it shouldn't have been there. Because the film, you'd just seen a dead agent, Bond was fighting for his life, being chased. That was a bad decision. So that was John Glenn's weak point. But his strengths far outweigh his weak points. And then he changes direction, takes Bond super serious. Now, he did introduce Bond back to seriousness as well. Don't forget, there's a lot of violence in For Your Eyes Only, especially Octopussy. He's got Roger Moore's Bond shooting young German or Russian soldiers in the head. I mean, come on, wow. And then he goes really serious and hardcore with Timothy Dalton in The Living Daylights and makes probably arguably the most violent James Bond film ever. Still to this day, and it's like 30 years old now. 32 years old this year? I think it is. 33, 1989. So License to Kill. I mean, Milton Crest's head is blowing up inside that compression chamber thing. It is crazy violent. And John Glenn went from, Tarzan yells to blowing people's heads up and that. So he could handle different styles and kind of, real different elements of James Bond. And that is why he's my favourite director. And up until, I kind of think by default, he was the only director to direct every James Bond film through one decade, except for, of course, we have Sam Mendes with, again, this is by default, I think, with 2012 Skyfall and Spectre. And to only have, and I won't harp on about this, but to only have 2 James Bond films in that decade is disgraceful. And look, No Time to Die wasn't going to come out till 2020 anyway. So by default, really, and bad production management, bad decision making, and Barbara Broccoli just not pulling her head out of her ass, we only got 2 Bond films in, well, from Quantum of Solace 2008 to now. Other than Quantum of Solace, we got 2 in that time, from 2008 to now. And we don't even have the other one now. And I know the pandemic is to blame for that, but we only got those 2 Bond films. So for John Glenn to do what he did in that 5-year period is freaking awesome. So, and I reckon overall, probably the 80s is my favourite decade of James Bond films. I just love those Bond films, even A View to a Kill. I enjoy it because I enjoy the performance of Roger Moore in it. Guys, that is my top 5 directors. I'm going to go through again. Terd of a Job award went to Lee Tamahori, Mark Forster. Close But No Cigar went to Guy Hamilton. Number 5 went to Peter Hunt. Number 4, Terrence Young. Number 3, Martin Campbell. Number 2, Lewis Gilbert. And my favourite at number 1 was John Glenn. Let me know, guys, in the comments below what you think of that list. And put your top 5. Who would you have as your top 5 James Bond film directors? I really want to know. And as you know, guys, I've been smashing out videos here at the James Bond Show. Help us get to 1,000 subscribers. Not far off. Make sure you're subscribed, because sometimes they just disappear and funny things are happening. So make sure you're subscribed. Have a look. And if you like the video, don't be lazy. Please, guys, drop a like on it. Help promote the channel. Share it on your Facebook wall. Send it out in Messenger. Get this James Bond Show out there to the fans. And let them know there's a real James Bond channel that's not going to be woke and not going to sell out to political correctness. Till next time, guys, keep on bonding. Say hi to your mum for me. And take the vaccine.